All right, everybody. Hope everybody is doing well. Welcome to another episode of Elevator Pitch for the month of December. And very excited for today's event. We have a lot of great speakers here today. One of the things that I want to just go over is just mention that Elevator Pitch is an opportunity for you to hear from three vendors. We have ConnectWise, we have EasyDmark, and we have Inky. And very excited to have all three of them here. And ultimately, what was going to happen is each of them are going to go over who they are, what they do, and the value that they provide to you as MSPs. And that's a very exciting thing because we all in the MSP space are looking to add or replace something in the stack. And essentially, this is the great way to learn about each of them, both from an RMM, email security and deliverability, as well as email security anti-phishing. And so we're gonna go over each of those things. We have Trevor McCord with ConnectWise. We have Mike Anderson. I'm sorry, not Mike Anderson. Where am I talking? We have Alan Richards. We have another great representative, EasyDmark, as well as Michelle Young with Inky, which is a Kaseya company. And so a couple things I want to go over before we kick things off is that during today's presentation, we have $250 of cash that we are going to give away to one lucky MSP at the end of today's event. So be sure to stay with us all the way to the end because that $250 cash, we have the holidays coming up. What better way? What better way? What awesome way to celebrate the holidays than to have $250 cash sent over to you? So that's one thing that we have that's very exciting. And a couple things too is once each of our presenters are completed with their 10 minutes, giving us their elevator pitch, we will open up our demo rooms. And those demo rooms will be an opportunity for you to ask additional questions, maybe see some hands-on. We'll have about 15 to 20 minutes during that time where you can pop into a demo room. We'll give all the instructions on how to do that a little bit later, but you'll be able to bounce back and forth between the demo rooms to be able to learn from each of them as you wish, and we will go from there. We're going to go in alphabetical order, so we're going to start today with Trevor McCord with ConnectWise, and we'll go ahead and spotlight Trevor and bring him in here. And how are you doing today, my friend?
Doing great. Thanks, Sam.
Awesome. It's great to see you here. Um, so before we kick things off, what I'd love to have you do is give us just a quick 30, 60-second overview of yourself and your role at ConnectWise.
Awesome. Yeah, so one of the sales engineers at ConnectWise, right? I've been with them for getting close to 3 years now. We've been in the MSP space for a long, long time, right? Um, Pretty techy, like automating things, whether that's like simple home automation stuff or, you know, building out scripting and stuff, helping our partners through our RMM that we're going to be touching on today. So, um, really, really well versed at just kind of understanding what some of our partners and MSP individuals here do day to day, right?
Excellent. And so one thing for all of our audience, I always like to do is tell us one unique thing about Trevor that people might not be aware of.
Sure. This going to be just touching back on the automation stuff, being the holidays coming up. I recently implemented some kind of neat things with lighting, and they changed colors and just kind of enhancing some of my full home automation stuff that I've done.
Nice. I love that. It's fun. I think at least in my house, the kids love it. My wife maybe not so much because I left the Christmas tree plug named Christmas tree the whole year,
Good.
and so when she wanted to turn on the table lamp, she had to say turn on the Christmas tree all year long. So I,
Nice.
I left it that way just to be fun, right?
Right
So.
on.
All right, so we're going to kick things off. We're going to go ahead and start the timer for you, Trevor. You can go ahead and share your screen. You have control for the next 10 minutes, and your time starts now.
Awesome. I believe that should be coming through there now. Awesome. So again, Trevor McCord with ConnectWise. I do want to get right into the presentation. Um, the first concept, a little bit outside of the core RMM functionality, but just the sense that we've built a platform which is more than just the RMM capabilities itself, right? So think shared data layers, centralized place to tie in all of your API connections to various solutions and so forth. Um, all of the reporting and things that would go along with that. But our RMM lives on this, right? So it's a microservices architecture. So the same interface across all of these various solutions and so forth, right? Now, as we look at specific RMM functionality, which probably the majority of people are familiar with, but common things like remote control access, scripting, patch management, network monitoring. A few key things that we've done is build in, AI assistance for scripting and a couple other things. We have our NOC team that backs all of this up. We have hyper automation, advanced automation on this list, which is our robotic process automation. We'll touch on that a little bit more. So again, the idea is having visibility across everything. So whether that is your network devices, we're helping identify vulnerabilities, uh, things like your backup solutions, endpoint security, right? The objective here is being able to see everything that you manage in one place. That's the idea of the platform. The RMM is certainly tying into those capabilities. For network specific stuff, so thinking things like your switches, your firewalls, access points, even things like printers, EPSs, etc. We have a tie-in with Auvik, so strategic partnership that we have with them, granting some of those capabilities. They're very well known. Hopefully some of you are also familiar with their tool sets, but we've tied that into our platform, right? So this is going to give you things like your topology maps, asset information, various checks, which could up to and include like NetFlow capabilities, like what types of traffic are on the network. So lots of great things that are going to come as part of that tie-in that we have with that solution. Patching, I mean, many MSPs might consider that the bane of their existence. We have tried to make this as seamless as possible. So a couple key elements here. Our NOC team does security update patch testing, right? So they do their own due diligence, they scrape forums to crowdsource data. It's all very well documented, but that helps in that process and being able to expedite and streamline those deployments, right? Everything's going to be scheduled accordingly. You set up policies, right? So different devices can be on, different schedules, different reboot cycles, etc. We also have third-party patching, which as it lists here, over 7,000 applications that are covered as part of that. So a really, really robust mechanism to help streamline and enhance your patching capabilities there. Screen Connect. So this is what we use for our remote control capabilities, right? You want to be able to connect to your systems, your workstation servers, etc. So this does work for your Windows machines, Mac, Linux, a couple different options you can get directly to the desktop. So just on the screen here showing remote access. So that's kind of your common shared screen, right? Being able to connect to devices, the user would see what you're doing. But we also have a function called Backstage, right? So this allows you to get in and actually interact with the systems, do management capabilities without disrupting the user. So, right, a really distinct feature where, again, you can do work in a live GUI interface, but the end user stays productive. So kind of a key differentiator there. But Screen Connect, again, very well known, one of the best in the business for sure. Now, there's a couple more capabilities. So just looking at this, remote access is predominantly what I was talking about. So that is your, agent-based service. You're able to connect to devices that are under management, right? So more common remote control capabilities. Remote support, that's your ad hoc capability, right? So more like end user initiated devices that are not specifically under management necessarily, right? Like the end user would commonly go to like a web page and type in a code to initiate that session, right? So those are other capabilities. We also have a function called view. This will actually grant you access to whoever's on the other end's camera, right? So you just need visibility on site, rather than driving over there, etc. So effectively, again, the end user would initiate that, but it's, I need to see what lights are flashing or what's connected, or you just want to be able to see, it'll grant you access to that camera. So again, a cell phone or tablet would work in that case. Privilege access, so also known as privilege access management, a PAM solution, can also be added to this, where it serves two functions. So one, administrative access. So if we think of the MSP more for your team, for your technician team, to be able to access systems without needing shared credentials. So reducing attack vectors, allowing them to log in and gain access to those systems, granted again within their permission set. The other capability is for end users, allowing them to have elevated access to specific applications without elevating their user. So an example that I like to give is maybe the accountant who needs to run QuickBooks as an administrator, maybe to run updates or whatever the case. You can allow them access to run QuickBooks as admin without them being an admin themselves. So it's elevating the application, not the user. It can be done on demand, but you can also create rules for that. Scripting is another key element of the RMM. The left visual here is kind of more the editor where you would build things, predominantly low code. And again, in the breakout session afterwards, happy to kind of go over and cover some things. On the right-hand side is the generative AI. So Batch, Bash, PowerShell, all supported for those AI capabilities. So again, extending some of the capabilities of your team who may not have specific scripting knowledge, but all in all, with the script editor, allowing you overall with the RMM, being able to automate processes, whether that's onboarding, maintenance, remediation functions tied to monitoring, et cetera, any number of things. So really, really powerful there. I talked about the hyperautomation. So this really touches on our RPA, robotic process automation. This is a little visibility into the designer, but I like to refer to this as cross-platform scripting, API level scripting. So think something happens in one solution, I want to do something somewhere else. A really easy example is like a ticket gets created in my PSA. I don't just want the ticket, I also want a message to go into Microsoft Teams as an example, but any number of things you can do, like Entra, like Microsoft 365 onboarding for users based on certain inputs from a ticket, things like that. So again, really, really powerful. Now, also available with our RMM is what we call expert services. So these can be add-ons depending on what you need. You can be particular. There are certain capabilities that are available without additional cost. So some of them I've touched on. So the patch testing, that's one piece, but all of the monitoring in our system is also curated by that team. So really nice having those built into the system, but then you're also able to add on other things. So our NOC services, help desk, strategic consulting, a dedicated tech, SOC services. So again, depending on which line of business or which key areas of your business you may need help, you're able to kind of add those on. Now, specific to the RMM capabilities, again, something like SOC and dedicated tech are a little bit outside of that, but the NOC services can actually respond to server alerts, right? So if there's patching issues, any various things, they can absorb those tickets. So they would be routed to that team. They can do the work, and you can opt into that on a site-by-site basis. They're not just random people. They are very well accredited, lots of certifications, and again, we have lots of documentation on their scope of work and capabilities. Additional options include our help desk. So these are able to be, again, extensions of your team where they would take on like level 1, level 2 support type stuff, whether that's via phone, email, chat. Different options include regular like Monday to Friday business hours, after hours and weekends are 24/7. And again, this can be done site by site. So I like to give the example of like maybe you're trying to bring in a large client, but they require 24/7 support, and maybe you don't have 24/7 support today. For that one client, you could opt into the after hours and weekends to be able to cover those bases, right? So again, lots of different things there. So getting close to time here, this QR will prompt for a trial if anyone is interested to sign up with that. But with that said, again, happy to answer any questions in the breakout session on any of those topics. Thank you.
It's a Monday, even though it's Thursday, it's a Monday. So there we go. So before we proceed here, I do want to mention what I was saying to Trevor. And I was wondering why Trevor wasn't like nodding along with me, like, yeah, yeah, exactly. Is one of the things that really jumped out in Trevor's presentation is that the knock does those patch management approvals, which is a huge value add in my perspective for MSPs. It gives them that ability to take a load off their plate and allows them to be able to do more with less from that perspective. So, Trevor, thank you for sharing that with us. And uh, and now we have Mr. Alan Richards. After I just pulled a little 2020 shenanigans there, and it was off cam, but Alan is with EasyDmark. Alan, if you could give us an overview of yourself and your role at EasyDmark, that would be awesome.
Yep, absolutely. So I've been with EasyDmark for almost 2 years now. I've been in the cybersecurity industry with MSPs, worked with MSPs for roughly 18 years, to be honest. I started way back in 2007 with hosted exchange services. But very happy to be with EasyDmark, and I'm the director of the growth team. So we actually have 4 growth managers on the EasyDmark team, which are assigned to each of the MSPs as they sign on board. I also work with the customer success team in a different function, but the main focus of the growth team is to really help MSPs grow their business with EasyDmark. So it's a really, really exciting space to be in, a little niche market, but there's a lot of potential, a lot of opportunities out there.
Awesome. And just as we did with Trevor, one unique thing about Alan that we're not aware of.
I love to cook.
Oh, cool.
I absolutely love to cook. Love trying new recipes. So this time of year, from the end of November to December, is sort of like Super Bowl for me. I just got to make sure I'm going to the gym.
There you go. That's awesome. I love it. That's great. And we're going to go ahead and kick things off with you. Your 10 minutes starts right now. You can go ahead and take control.
Absolutely, I appreciate it. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through and talk about EasyDmark. Many of you may have heard about EasyDmark, or you may not have, or at least you've heard of DMark itself. So let's start with just a quick overview of what DMark does, right? And I think as we move into 2026, you're going to start seeing a lot more really focusing on brand reputation for your clients. And that's really where DMARC comes into play, because email is everything, and protecting that brand for your clients is everything. So DMARC obviously prevents the email spoofing and phishing attacks, and it does that as an outbound service by monitoring the SPF and the DKIM records. So it tells your recipients what to do with the email that they receive from you and from your clients if the SPF and the DKIM records don't align. Now, the ideal for the majority of the email service providers, the ESPs out there, is that that email goes to a reject policy if either the SPF or the DKIM don't align. Now, what we're going to talk about, a lot of things, a lot of MSPs like, well, why do I need to use a managed service? I can do it myself. I don't think I need a managed service, but there's a lot of good things that we're going to cover in this presentation that lends a huge amount of benefit for you, not just in managing DMARC, but actually growing your business as well. So one of the things that we provide for you as an MSP is really a data-driven risk assessment, right? So when you're out there and you're talking to prospects, for example, or you're trying to get new companies on board, one of the things that we're able to do is to give you this risk assessment tool that is really specifically generated for their domain. You can see here on the screen, this is part of our dashboard, our MSP dashboard that you have the ability to access. So you can go in and you can enter their domain, and it pulls all of their, it pulls the domain from their public DNS records. and it gives you a basic score that you can present to the client. It's a 0 to 10 score, and it looks at their DMARC records, the SPF records, and their DKIM records. Now, you can do this through your platform, but what we also have the ability for you to do is to set this as an embed into your website, right? So you can put this on your website when you're talking about email deliverability. You can have a client go in and enter their domain. It will give them a score. It will give them the ability to reach back out to you. But this is just not a score. So when you're looking at this, the results of a domain scan or a risk assessment, we actually give you the ability to go in and brand it from your company. You can put texts in, you can put the company's name in, whatever you want to do at that point, and it's going to show them their current domain status. Now, let's be real honest when we're talking about domain status for your clients. Most of them do not know what DMARC is. They don't know about SPF and DKIM. So what this allows you to do from an MSP perspective is really to walk them through the importance of DMARC, SPF, and DKIM and what it means to them, right? What does security posture mean from a DMARC perspective? And it will tell them what you found as the MSP, and it will tell them why it's important. It'll give them an overview of the policy requirements that are out there, the policy options, and it will give them a visual scenario of what it means from a hacker and how they can get in and how they can take control of their domain. And all of a sudden, what that means for them is that their brand, their online brand reputation is at risk. And what we really want to do in this whole process is to be able to take that data that we've gotten from that risk assessment and really turn that into dollars. Now, how do we do that, right? What we do know is from your clients, if their sales reps are missing leads, if their leads are not delivering into their mailboxes or they're getting flagged as spam, that is a low, that effectively diminishes the sales effectability for your clients. If your clients are having to chase their invoices because the invoices are not getting delivered into the inboxes and it causes slow pay or no pay, that affects the cash revenue for your clients, right? If your marketing team or your client's marketing team are not seeing the traction when they're issuing campaigns, that is an email. All these are symptoms of email deliverability functions. And what a lot of clients don't realize is that it's not just their domain that has to be DMARC aligned. It's every sending source that sends out through their domain. And this is one of the main reasons why we like to mention that the managed solution is really the way to go from a number of perspectives. Number one is that you're able to manage all of your domains from our platform, right? If you're trying to do DMARC on your own, you're having to log into the different DNS platforms. You're having to make the DNS changes. You're having to make the different changes for the sending sources. All of that can be done through the EasyDmark platform. In addition to that, we monitor that for you. As you're all aware, sometimes SPF records change, DKIM records change. They fall out of alignment. How are you notified that from as an MSP if your client sources are not in alignment anymore, right? How do you fix that? We give you monitoring, alerts, notifications on that. Not that any client ever would, but sometimes clients get a wild hair. You know, they want to try new things. They'll try to go in and add a new source, and all of a sudden they say, hey, this email's not going out, right? It's because it's not aligned. You know, everything else is in there as a reject, and this new thing that they added in, this new shiny bright widget is not added in. So this puts you really in control, and it gives you the ability more than any of this really to open up the door and really open up the door for new clients. Because if you go in with a DMARC risk assessment, or you include it in your risk assessment, as we said before, it's data-driven analysis. You've pointed out a problem with your clients, with their email deliverability, and now you are showing them the way that you can fix this. So we're just turning business problems into business successes. So that's where we are, and this is where we can come into play from a marketing perspective. We can put you with our marketing team. We can help you do announcement of email deliverability, DMARC service. Again, we can put this on your website. We can help you do that as well. And it really helps to deliver that value as we're going through. The next thing that we have the ability to do is a touch point, which is a new product that we're rolling out. And the touch point solution really allows you to take all of these domains, these leads that you have, and you can upload these into our touch point system. It will show you the segment, it will show you the risk, it will show you the scans and where you actually come into play. But what it also will do is it will enrich that data. It will actually give you the contact information for the people at your prospect's location, so you can actually reach out to the decision makers there on there. So, and each one of these DMARC leads that you land actually opens the door up for you for your other services as well. So it really is a small way to get your foot in the door with all of your other clients. So not only are we focused on the DMARC part of it, which is not the real sexy part, but also the lead generation, right? It shows you what is relevant, and we're gonna help you change all that. So we've also seen some conversion rates here. You can look at this. A study found that data-driven businesses are 23 more times to acquire customers and 6 more times likely to retain them, right? So if we're looking at how do you gain new clients, right? Instead of just going in and saying, hey, you're an MSP, I'd like to talk to you about your IT business. Again, leading with data. So we're really excited about this. I think there's still a lot of landscape out there from the MSP segment for DMARC engagements. And I think that email deliverability and DMARC is really going to be where we're seeing growth in the 2026 year moving forward.
Excellent. Alan, thank you so much. And one of the big things that jumped out at me was, of course, that deliverability. Although I've been in the IT channel for 20, 25 years, I went to school for marketing. I'm a marketer, and the whole idea of a outbound email going to prospects, going into their spam is just very cringy. And that deliverability is so critical because every one of those emails has a cost, and there's an opportunity with those, and it's so important that we're able to get those directly into their inbox so that we can see some action from them. So thank you for that, and we're going to move on to our next presenter, which is Michelle Young, and we'll go ahead and bring him in here. There we go.
Hello there, Dan.
How are you doing today, my friend?
Doing very well. Thank you very much.
It's great to have you here. And what I'd love to have you do is, let our audience know about your role at Inky, and that would be great.
Yeah, I'm one of, I've been with Inky since 2020. I'm a sales engineer over here. I work a lot with the engineering department and our product group on where the product is going, as well as help convey the value of Inky to our customers, all from a technical standpoint. So talking to the engineers down in the roots with them on how Inky works, all the way to talking with the high level executives as well.
Awesome. And what's one thing about yourself that you want to share that's unique?
Unique about me.
Yeah.
I do voice work.
Voice work. Very cool. I can tell. I can tell. You have that voice that voice. So are you doing like voiceovers? Are you doing
Exactly.
commercials? Yeah.
Commercial, animation, narration,
Very cool.
whatever.
Very cool. I appreciate you sharing that. And we're going to go ahead and start your timer now. And
Wonderful.
your 10 minutes begins right now.
All right. So once again, hi, welcome. I'm Michelle Young here to talk to you about Inky. Now, Inky is a modern email security platform that's purpose-built for the MSP. We have an email assistant that's there on every banner. It's up there to help really guide the end user into making a wise decision. Some of the key capabilities, I'll actually talk about that when I go over the slides, and you'll see how Inky routes messages as well. So let's go ahead and get started with the actual little slideshow presentation, which is always fun to see and talk about with everybody. There we go. So like I said, purpose built for the MSP. Inky, we're not the MX record. So similar to other systems that are in there, Microsoft or even Google happen to have Google users, we work fine with that as well. Now, those are the first right of refusal. They send it over to Inky. We process the message, provide that verdict, which is that user-friendly banner. Then we tell the platform when it's coming back in how that message needs to be convicted. Ooh, we convict a message. That means that it's not in the user's inbox, and if it passes everything else, it'll go into the user's inbox. Really helping to sort the messages to get the user to be actually more productive. Here's the email assistant. Like I said earlier, it is the verdict that we actually provide to the end user on that message. And all the messages that are coming into Inky that are analyzed do actually get a little banner. And the gray banner is the most natural one that's always there. As you can read here, it is available on not only on mobile, but also on desktop, laptop, tablet, whatever. The banner is displayed everywhere without any issues. That red bannered message, that looks kind of scary. Remember what I said a little bit earlier where we convict the message? That's right. That shouldn't go into the user's inbox. We'll auto remediate that to the administrative quarantine or the junk mail folder or the user quarantine, depending on how you, the MSP, like to run your MSP for your customers. Because Inky will adapt to however you run your business. We're not going to dictate how you should run it because you've already created the wheel, you've invented your wheel. Let's just tack on and use that wheel that you already have. Now there's that yellow banner that's there. Now that's where the magic actually happens. Notice how it says right there, first time sender and spam content. Sure enough, many different threat categories will appear, and it'll change depending on what we determine. The user has the ability to actually choose whether or not they want to receive a message by interacting with that banner. Now, some of the cool things that Inky does differently is we have many different capabilities in here. One of them is computer vision. Years ago, before the word AI became a four-letter word, we created something called computer vision. Computer vision is looking at an email like a human sees it. And yeah, it really does do that. We detect brand forgery detections and other things. We're looking at the message and doing content disarming and reconstruction on that message. Honestly, it really helps us to determine whether or not some nefarious actors trying to get some code through because of the way that we're doing the content disarming and reconstruction. We can see every QR code. We scan all the hyperlinks that are there and protect them. Why? Because, well, QR codes are hyperlinks in the end, and many users will try to use a QR code with their mobile device. So by us being able to scan them, follow them, see where they actually go, we're able to protect those users as well. In our newer product with the Pro component, there's two different SKUs on Kaseya. I won't get into that right now. Inky, we can understand the intent of the message. Why is that? Well, because a lot of bad actors out there are all using ChatGPT and other generative AI models to create email. So we have our own generative AI model that actually does look at the intent of the message. That way we can actually see, is there urgency here? Is there some kind of payment? Or is it just a cold email? By understanding the intent of the message, not only can we see the email on the left and read the email, but we can understand the intent of the message as well. Here's something fun. The approximate matching engine. Follow along at home if you'd like. Hold out your left hand and make the lowercase letter C. Hold out your right hand and make the lowercase letter L. If you put those together, what does that look like? Could look like a lowercase letter d, and that's a little example of what our approximate matching engine does. It does a lot of other things, but you can see that a human will see whatever a human wants to see, and bad actors are taking advantage of that where they're masking specific letters that look similar enough to each other in those messages. Here are some examples, fun little examples about Inky. Using our computer vision to detect brand impersonation, you can see we can actually look at the message and say, wait a minute, there's the Cyrillic O. That's our approximate matching engine right there. We're actually noticing that there's a Microsoft logo. Well, that message had better be coming from a Microsoft domain. So you can see with computer vision and our content disarming and reconstruction, we're able to compare the two pieces of data to ensure it is legit. QR codes, thing of the past. Well, not really. They're still around. But like I said earlier, Inky is protecting all hyperlinks. So when we detect a QR code with computer vision, we're following it, finding out where that link goes, and if it is nefarious, even if it's in either the body of the message or in an attachment, we're actually going to do something about it. The next item is something along the lines of the approximate matching engine, exactly what I said earlier. If you look on the right-hand side of the uh, display, the homoglyph attack is actually showing you where they're using a Cyrillic O in replacement of a normal Latin letter O. And many bad actors are doing this because the letter O, the letter A, it's visible in a whole number of different alphabets. So with our proprietary engine, we're actually able to see this, detect it, and then do something about it. Here's my final slide because I know everybody's probably getting bored about looking at slides, but this is where our intent analysis comes in. So we're looking at the message, we're reading it. Remember, we did the content disarming, the reconstruction, seeing it like a human does, and now we run through the understanding of the message. And we're looking, and there's an urgency here, something to close a deal today. There's something about a payment, a wire transfer, and then there's a favor here. Please handle this quietly. How many times have you had an email from your CEO that says, hey, tell me your mobile number. I need you to go get $500 in Apple gift cards. So that's effectively it with the slideshow. And I'd love to see anybody in the Inky breakout session so that we can talk about any questions you may have regarding Inky and how we can integrate in your environment.
All right. Thank you so much, Michelle, for that. And one of the big things that jumps out at me is just those phishing emails. And I mean, we know that the sophistication of bad actors continues to get, just becomes more and more legit. Those emails are so real looking
So
that,
real looking, yes, they're
yeah,
using, and that's what I said. Honestly, and I know this is sort of a little flippant, but many of us rarely write new emails nowadays. Most people are using ChatGPT to say, "Hey, how can you write a letter to tell my mother how much I love her?" Why didn't
right,
you just write that email to say, "Hey, mom, I love you"? I bet that
right.
would have been a lot more impactful than what ChatGPT is going to say.
Exactly, exactly. So appreciate that. And Michelle, as well as our other presenters, will be in the breakout rooms in just a few moments here. And so we're going to go ahead and I'm going to share some information about the next steps. Just a quick reminder, we do have $250 cash that will be given away to one of our lucky attendees. It will be all the way at the end of today's presentation. Stay with us until the end. We're going to go ahead and throw a poll up right now. Basically, just want to find out which of our presenters, which of our vendors that you'd like to hear from. Of course, we have ConnectWise, EasyDmark, and Inky. Just go ahead and fill that out, and we'll share your information with them so they can reach out to you. And we greatly appreciate that. While you are filling out that poll, we're going to open up those demo rooms, which are actually called breakout rooms in Zoom here. At the bottom of your screen in Zoom, there's a button that says breakout rooms. Once we open up those breakout rooms, you'll be able to click on that, pick which room that you want to join. Again, you'll be able to move back and forth between the rooms. So you can start out with one of the vendors and jump over to the other once you've learned what you wanted to learn. And so be sure to do that in just a moment here. And so with that being said, we'll just give a couple more moments here as you fill out those polls, and we greatly appreciate that. So with that being said, let's go ahead and open up our breakout rooms. They're open now, and so go ahead and do that. Go ahead and join. If you do have any questions, you have any issues getting into one of the rooms, just go ahead and throw a message into chat, and either send that into chat or to myself or Talon, and we'll be able to help you out with that and get you in that room. For anybody that's listening to us out there on YouTube, this will conclude this portion of the event. The rest of the event will just be for those members in our live Zoom room. And so we'll go ahead and close out our YouTube broadcast right now. So thank you for joining us today. Everybody else, go ahead and join into those breakout rooms. And in about 13, 14 minutes, we'll go ahead and bring you back into the main stage, wrap things up, and give away that $250 cash.